This is the Intrepid C Streak reel that came out in the late 60s, early 70s I believe. There's no date on the reel, so I can't be totally sure. I had one of these many years ago. This one was given to me a few years ago, a relic from the past, but nevertheless it's still got some interesting features on it. The first feature is the moving side plate. You undo the little screw here, turn the side plate round and pop off the side plate, and then the spool just pops out. Inside the spool you've got two spindles. The bearings inside the spool, which is quite an innovative feature in those days. Self-engaging free spool lever, which was also quite unusual in those days. The Abus always had them, the 6.5s, but the most fishing reels didn't have this feature. And also the four-way switch on the side, which gives you anti-reverse as normal in multipliers. Then you've got a completely free backwards and forwards movement. Then you've got a check on its own. Then you've got a check with the anti-reverse. The completely free movement was quite useful when you were walking backwards up the beach having cast out, and you didn't have to disengage the spool again. You could just put it onto the reversing and walk backwards up the beach with the handle going backwards. To be honest, the check wasn't really an awful lot of good. As you can see, that's a fairly free running spool. I haven't oiled this one, by the way. It needs oiling still, but we'll oil it. It's one of the freest running spools available at the time. And also the reel's made from high impact plastic, unlike a lot of the American reels, which would break, made from Bakelite, which would break quite easily if you drop them. Whereas the C Streak was made from quite a good plastic. So it has some useful features that still appear on reels today. The casting control device on the side was crude, but it worked. It worked by centrifugal arms flying out around the central drum and causing friction, which slowed the reel down. It was crude by modern standards. Most modern reels have got really highly efficient casting mechanisms. Of course, the difference is in those days we were fishing with 21 to 25 pound main lines. The rods weren't that powerful, so you didn't really need a leader. Most rods were a reverse taper or a straight taper with a through action, which was quite a soft action, nothing like the modern rods, which have got very fast actions and very powerful and light. The rings were usually either ceramic or diamite, which are quite heavy rings, but not bad, and the rods were quite heavy as well. One of the best features was the bolts which came out of the bottom of the reel underneath the rod, and with the back plate with wing nuts were fixed to the rod, which in my opinion is far superior to these coasters we use these days, which are rather flimsy and fiddly things to use.